All set?
I'm all set to go. Let's let it roll.
My most meaningful Jewish experience actually is two things. One, first trip I made to Israel in 2010. My wife and I had neither of us had been to Israel before, and we had a wonderful experience with a federation group, small group, and got to really see the country, meet people, understand a little bit about what was going on in Israel, and from there it sort of enhanced my excitement about being involved in Jewish causes. Second was when I had the privilege of being president of Park Synagogue for 4 years, from 2012 to 2016.
My most meaningful Jewish experience is Shabbos. It separates the really tough work week, gives one a chance to rejuvenate. It's a time to put life into perspective and really cherish your family.
I actually have two very meaningful Jewish experiences. Both occurred in Israel. The first was my son Andrew's bar mitzvah 22 years ago at the Kotel, at the wall, surrounded by family and close friends that we were in Israel with. But the second was 5 years ago when I was on the first Adler mission of other social service leaders from Cleveland, a very diverse group of folks. And it's a very specific memory. We were sitting on the shores of the Kinneret, the Sea of Galilee, when our Jewish tour guide, Abraham Silver, read the Sermon on the Mount. We were all there together, and the head of the United Black Fund, Cecil Lipscomb, who was a trained minister, gave commentary after every few phrases. And it was really an incredibly emotional moment, a really coming together of Cleveland leadership moment, and very, very memorable.
I would say that for me, Yom Kippur is really like the most meaningful holiday to me. But we also do Shabbat every week with my parents and my brother and his family and my family, and I wouldn't give that up at all. So maybe both.
My most meaningful would be visiting the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum within a year of it opening as part of my 8th grade field trip and to Washington. And the lessons there stuck with me, and I recall spending time at the Eternal Flame, just reflecting. I'm 13 years old, just sitting there reflecting, thinking about the lessons there. And I think that was the most meaningful experience that I've had.
My conversion, we had a COVID mikvah in Lake Erie, followed up that evening with members, our friends at the West Temple, welcomed me into the tribe. It was perfect.
I'm a Jew by choice. So about 6 months before my current husband and I got married, I was thinking about how we're raising our family, and he was a very devoted Jew, and I loved his love of Judaism. So really it was not difficult for me to go through the classes and go through everything it took to become a Jew, and it's still to this day, 28 years later, the most meaningful Jewish experience.
If I didn't have to work for money, I think I'd like to volunteer. My passion would probably be to help children in need, whether it's working in the maternity ward, rocking the little babies and helping change their diapers, or even tutoring or helping underserved kids in historically disadvantaged communities.
My most meaningful Jewish experience was watching our children, Adam and Rachel, get baby named, consecrated, and confirmed at Temple Emmanuel, just like I had so many years before, and getting to see them on that same beautiful Jewish journey that I had taken.
I would say paying it forward. When we engage with young professionals that we meet in downtown, either we put up a mezuzah on a couple's door, do the mitzvah of tefillin, or they come to our Shabbat dinner. Then they go out and do that with somebody else. That is the most meaningful Jewish experience.
My most meaningful Jewish experience was outside of a traditional Jewish function or temple. It was getting to know our old neighbor, Michael Vogel. Michael was a Holocaust survivor. He emigrated to the United States after the war, built a very successful business, and raised a loving family. It was amazing to see somebody who kept their faith despite going through all of that.
There are so many meaningful Jewish experiences. Obviously, the naming of my daughter in shul, my frequent visits to the Kotel, to the Wailing Wall or Western Wall in Jerusalem, which I have the privilege to visit frequently.
My most meaningful Jewish experience probably was watching my daughter Sloan become a bat mitzvah last summer at Park Synagogue, the same place where I became a bar mitzvah 30 years ago. And I'm really looking forward to my son Graham's bar mitzvah at Park Synagogue next summer as well.
My most meaningful Jewish experience was going to Israel twice. Once in 1979 with the American Jewish Congress, and in 2012 with my wife this time. And we were able to, see the whole country. And we even got to Petra, which was absolutely awesome.
I think the greatest traditions to me is always the family and the family dinners. Erev Rosh Hashanah, after Rosh Hashanah morning services, the night, Kol Nidre, stuff up so you can fast and then break fast. Those were the greatest memories I have and the best traditions I think of.
I would say to my younger self that you don't need to be an expert in order to take on leadership, that it's important to bring others that have complementary skills onto the same team and help you to achieve things together, that we're not on this journey by ourselves. I also would say, remember the value of communicating with sensitivity and strategically, and that you can have lots of expertise and knowledge, but if you can't communicate in a way that people feel safe and respected, then you can't accomplish nearly as much.
The advice I'd offer my younger self comes from my mentor, Dr. Eugene Braunwald, who was voted the most influential physician in America by the living Nobel Prize winners. And he said to me, Dan, be more like the moon than the sun, shine in the reflective glow of others. I think when I was young, I wanted to be the sun. I was trying to differentiate myself and stand out in a really tough Harvard system. And as I got older and more mature, I realized that medicine's a team sport, and it's really important to build great teams and to see other people succeed and shine in their successes.
Who would I have dinner with if I could? I think that answer changes depending on different, points in my life and different circumstances. And maybe right now, I would say maybe Rabbi Akiva, because he sort of late in life, made a drastic change and decided to start studying Judaism. And I'm sort of at a crossroads in a way as my kids are growing up. And now I have to figure out, what am I going to do now that I don't have all my kids at home?
The advice I'd offer my younger self is you don't have to have it all figured out. So there's this myth that in your 20s that you go to college and you come out and you're this fully formed human and you know exactly what you want to do. And it's not true, and I wish that I'd known that when I was in my 20s, because I am still learning and growing and doing so many different things that I never thought I would do.
I would tell my younger self to get involved. I really haven't changed my path over my lifetime. I even wanted to be an accountant back when I was in high school, but I was really shy when I was younger, and I would tell myself to get out there more, explore things more, and really put yourself out there, because getting involved in the community and in other areas is really fun and a game changer.
I think you can lead by example, and if you set a good tone, a good example, a good experience for someone, they'll be more willing to bite off on what you're suggesting they do. So leading by example is my approach to getting people to get involved.
If money were no object, I would spend my summer days helping with urban agriculture, making sure that food isn't an access isn't an issue, and by winter, I'm curling.
My dream would be to do game-changing philanthropy, specifically focused on young children and families. I know lots of data that's the best investment you can make. And of course, Jewish families with young children. My real dream would be to make childcare, preschool, and day school for Jewish families free and see what impact that would have.
The most important lesson I've learned is to give back. I grew up in East Cleveland. Every Friday night before my mother lit Shabbos candles, she would fill a variety of pushkis with money. It was a very visual mechanism to impart the importance of philanthropy. In this day and age, giving isn't as visual. I had the benefit of visually seeing my mother fill those pushkis, of visually seeing once a year someone come to collect that money, of understanding very briefly by virtue of that interaction with the person that collected the money, where the money was going, who it was benefiting. That's an important part of the messaging that getting involved needs to communicate.
Hard work pays off. Never give up. Keep chasing your dreams, and really you can accomplish anything that you put your mind to.
The most important lesson I've learned, to me, is simple. I learned it early on from my dad. Sorry, we just buried him 2 weeks ago at 95, so just to work hard, do the right thing, be honest. And if you work hard and do well, you give back. And that's how I live my life.